Lavar Park. Is that pronounced right? Lavare? Buxton Road, Alcatton. That's 2023 2272. If you'd like to introduce yourself, please, and carry on with the presentation. Thank you.
Yeah. So my name's Andrew Parnell. I'm the planning officer for this application. So we've got an application for the erection of a single-storey local community building with associated works on Buxton Road in Old Catton. The site itself, just for some general context, is located to the north of Old Catton, so along the Buxton Road, with connections to the north to Spixworth and then to the south to the main city itself. Just to show in a little bit more context in its local context, we've got the site itself to the north of Austin Way. It's got its access. There is a car park at the bottom which is connected from Austin Way at the moment, and there's also a car park from the Buxton Road, which this application seeks to extend as part of the application. It's also got, in its wider context, the Morrison's Superstore across from the paddocks on the other side of the Buxton Road, so it's fairly well located within the context of Old Catton itself. Just to give you a little bit more context from an aerial view, just showing where the football pitches are currently on the site. So it's currently used for the existing Old Catton Junior Football Club, which this application seeks to create that better facility for. And you can also see the existing community building just shown on the site as well, with the overhead, which is quite a small building in comparison to what's being proposed. In terms of the key considerations of the application, broadly, as you'll see in your report, the principle is acceptable as it's improving the facilities on the site, given its context and position. We're satisfied with the design in terms of the character and the appearance of the area. In terms of residential amenity, there has been concern raised in regards to its impact, in terms of neighbouring residents. The clubhouse itself, just for context, it's located. The new one is proposed to be located to this northern part of the site, next to where the proposed improved car parking is proposed to be, as opposed to where the existing building is, which is located much more to the south, nearer to Austin Way. Our environmental health team have been consulted and have raised no objection to the proposed community building, subject to conditions including hours of operation. There's also noted there was concern in terms of parking and highway safety. Again, there's no objection from highways, and in terms of the parking, there's going to be an improvement in terms of parking compared to the sort of semi-formal arrangements on the northern part of the car park, which is currently in place. So just to go through, so this is the proposed floor plans of the proposed community building, showing the community space and the improved changing rooms and associated facilities there. And again, these are the elevations of what's been proposed in terms of the new community building. In terms of the current community building, this is the side. This is the side of the existing building on site, which the football club are using, which is much smaller than what is currently proposed. This is effectively looking from the northern side, so the new building will be approximately located kind of just to the side of here, showing where the existing building is in comparison to this, and showing the existing kind of informal parking arrangements, which are kind of semi-marked out on the site itself. Again, this is looking at the existing car parking and the existing building on site. Again, you can see the buildings and the properties on Austin Way just in the distance there. Again, this is looking from the side towards the paddocks, so looking west across the site. Towards those other residential properties. Again, this is showing some of the existing pitches on site, looking towards the north, I believe. This is looking again south from the northern part of the site, and again you can see those properties along Austin Way in the distance, and the new community building will be located on this side of the site there. Again, this is looking from approximately the middle of the kind of L-shaped part of the site, out towards Austin Way, with the existing play park along on Austin Way, with the remaining part of the site behind where I'm stood when I'm taking this photo. Again, this is looking across the existing hedging arrangements along the south of the site against Austin Way itself, and then again this is stood a little bit further back, approximately where the existing car park to the south of the site starts. And again, this is turned around approximately, just looking at the existing car parking arrangements with the entrance at the south of the site to the existing car park. This is looking across towards the paddocks, from the footpath which runs alongside the site, which then runs up towards Spixworth, going northwards. And then this is looking out from the existing access to the car park that's proposed to be expanded, again with properties at the paddocks just shown there. And then this is looking north with that footpath connection further up to Spixworth. And then this is just showing again, looking approximately southwest from that existing entrance, with the current hedging arrangements between that and the paddocks there. Broadly, that brings me to the end of the presentation, so I'd welcome any questions anyone would have. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions? Joe?
How big is the new community space and the new building, please?
So the new community building itself is approximately around 370 metres in its footprint. The actual community room element of that, so what's shown I think on my earlier slide, I'll just jump back to that. This one, the community room's about 162 metres approximately, that kind of range.
Any other questions? No? Okay, I would like to call forward Mr. Mike Blowers and Mr. Robert Sherwood. Would you like to come to the front, please, gentlemen? You each have 5 minutes to speak, which will be timed. And if you've pressed the right-hand button to speak, please.
Oh, okay. Good morning, Chairwoman and the committee. Thanks for letting us speak here. As I haven't got long, I'll dive in fast and furious. In over 12 months, the OCPC have failed to address our questions and concerns on this application. Our questions have been disregarded at every meeting and step. Been a pretty undemocratic process, in my opinion. The attitude we've received, represented by Councillor Crouch, who told me at one parish meeting, "We're telling you." From the outset, residents' objections been to the permanent bar, which has not been a prominent part, but is a part of this application that we've questioned, for a junior soccer clubhouse, and we are told use by community groups to meet, such as yoga, children's play, mum and toddlers, scouts, girl guides, etc. We ask again, do any of these groups require a permanent bar? The parish council has provided no validation for this bar. Therefore, in place of the council providing clarity, we've become aware of rumours relating to wedding parties, private hire parties, and even on social media, the community is calling for a social club. In other words, a pub. This leads me to another question. Doesn't this represent a change of use? Surely Levere Park is authorised for playing football, not a party venue, and all that comes along with that. In an attempt to resolve, County Councillor Karen Vincent organised a special meeting in early December. And I began the meeting, so I approve of the clubhouse building, but I don't approve of the bar. Please justify that requirement. And after 2 hours where Councillor Tim Cook called me a NIMBY, my neighbour was accused of lying, they essentially only told us what we'd heard before. We don't know yet, or we can't tell you. The football club rep said, because he's a licensee, he could put up a marquee and run a bar in the field 365 days of the year if we wanted to. To which I asked the councillors, what are the terms of the lease? And we were told again, we're not allowed to see that. So I put in writing a request to the Old Catton Parish Council to produce a management plan, because they defined they would not manage this facility. Okay. So that any subsequent management contractor could abide by a management plan that was in agreement with residents' wishes. The written response from the OCPC secretary was, we are awaiting the outcome of the LPA planning decision and will not comment further until this has been decided. Too late. Every meeting we've been to has been like peeling back the layers of an onion, eventually revealing more smoke and mirrors that makes me feel we're gambling with the substantial community CIL funds to benefit a few over the deprivation of the majority of the community. I ask you all, does spending over £1 million for a private hire venue constitute a benefit to the broader community? Who profits from this venture? And are we just using public CIL funds to support somebody's startup? If this goes ahead as submitted, it'll be detrimental to the resale value of property owners' homes in Austin Way and Ernest Drive, who purchased their homes based on the peacefulness of this small development. There is a clear potential our quiet evenings will be disturbed by late nights, noise. The building may be soundproofed as in the application, but people will open windows, doors, and then come outside shouting at each other. I mean, we can hear the football coaches, but that's, you know, I accept that, that's fine, that's lovely. Make no mistake, the parish council are applying to build a hospitality event facility here under the guise of a clubhouse, with all the late night horror stories that get associated with such a venue. And I'll repeat, this represents a change of use, in my opinion, as it was the field was gifted as for playing football. You know, this sort of a facility is normally attached to a pub, guest house, not a football changing room. You can go on the OCPC website and read results of a 2019 CIL Fund community survey. The request for a community centre was an overwhelming response, to which OCPC responded, groups have found alternative ways of meeting. Old Catton Parish Council would not wish to take business from existing facilities. We have 5. Equally would not want to provide a new expensive community centre that then remained empty and unused.
Mr. Blowers, you're out of time, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I am now. Sorry, I was on a roll. I tried to squeeze it in. Thank you. Thanks. I'm open to questions.
Mr. Sherwood, would you like to speak?
Yes.
Please?
Is the mic's on, yeah? Right. My name is Robert Sherwood. I live in Austin Way. By nature, I am a property developer, so I would normally come at this from a completely different direction. I was also on the Old Catton Football Club committee for 12 years and the senior committee of the football club for 8 years. And in that time, I was also the football club's representative on the parish council. So I was involved when the first phase of this was bought with National Lottery funding. So in the whole round of things, I actually know probably more than anyone else knows about the whole thing of it. What Mike has then said, we are in, or everyone is in favour of doing something for this area for the junior football club because they are very successful. And we need to back the junior football club. But the parish of Old Catton has 4 facilities, all of a similar nature. Basically, what they're doing, they are filling, or they're ticking boxes and telling you what you want to hear. This originally, when it was first proposed, was for facilities for the junior football club. And with that, you know, we would all been fully support. Now, if you look at this facility, have you got the plan of the site plan of this facility? You've got 4 football pitches, which most people should know would constitute 8 teams. So you would want 8 change rooms and 4 referees changing rooms. If you look on the plan of the changing facilities, you will see there's more toilets in this facility than there is football changing rooms. Old Catton Parish Council is going to benefit from a lot of SIL money over the next few years. What they really need to do is to plan all their facilities what they've got. If they don't need some of them, they need to get rid of them, but they need to utilise each facility for different sections of the community. And this facility, which has always been for the football club, is suddenly being taken over by a social club. So yeah, that is my things on. And there is one particular person at the club who seems to be benefiting from this, and him in turn is pushing the clerk from the council from this. There will be further investigations into this, because we don't know yet who we have to report to, but the way the parish council has acted is absolutely disgraceful. And you know, they are giving you evidence here which is just completely factually incorrect. So you are being asked to make decisions on things what are factually incorrect. The thing what Mike was then said, yeah, I was pleased for this, that the football club were going to get improved facilities, and I am, well, as a property developer, I've got 2 other projects within the Broadland area where I am making SIL payments to different parishes, and I respect the fact I'm doing it to make other people's lives better. If I was making a SIL payment in the old Catton area and that was going to this, I would be absolutely disgraced. That's disgraceful, and I would not be happy that my money was being spent that way. You know, I'm happy to take any conversation or any questions from any of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. I just wanted to make a comment to the members just about the comments made about the parish council. Please don't consider them as part of the planning application process. We need to consider what's in front of us. I'm sorry to say that, but I just need to make that comment because we don't know the ins and outs of discussions with the parish council. That's not for us as a planning committee to consider.
We just want to have a discussion.
Does any of the committee have any points they wish to clarify with the speakers? Ken?
I am, Chairman, that there is a time limit on the opening of the bar, and I think it was, I thought it was 10 o'clock. But it is very important because I understand the points made, and I understand that the football, who's managing this is, did I read it in here? It's a licensed person who is going to be managing the bar. Am I right on that?
Yes, you are. Time limits is from 8 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock at night. 8 till 10.
10.
And no members of the public will be allowed to drink. Only members of the football club will be able to drink there.
That's what I understood very clearly, and I thought that because I've been, very supportive and encouraged by the benefit to young people in the community of the club, and I think this does add because, as been agreed, the present facilities are totally inappropriate and without. But this does give a big chance to it, and there is a control, isn't there, over who's managing the events that are going to take place.
I think it's important to know that there if you're selling alcohol or any of those other things, then you would need a separate licence, which will be dealt with by our licensing department. So there will obviously be restrictions on the licence, opening, closing doors, and all those type of things, which will be part of that licence process, which is slightly different from the planning application process. So a lot of those things will be dealt with in terms of those things by the licence.
To the planning. But to me, that's a very important part, and I thought that should be an important part of some of the points that have been raised. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Can you switch your mic
Oh,
off?
yes, sorry.
Anybody else would like to ask any questions of the speakers? No? Can I ask you to return to your seats, please? I'd like to call Mr. John Nortcliffe, please. Mr. Nortcliffe, you have 5 minutes from when you start. Press the right-hand button, please.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee, and thanks also for the planning team for their support in this application. Established in 1969, Old Catton Juniors Football Club is one of the largest, most successful and highly respected clubs in Norfolk. The club believes that juniors football should be primarily about the enjoyment of young people and the families who support them. Whilst learning how to play, children also learn about teamwork, leadership and integrity. The club has had approximately 325 players per season for many years now, which goes some way to demonstrate the club's ethos that all players of all abilities are welcome, and their goal is to engage and develop the support of every player, both technically and socially. Back in September 2022, we were delighted to be asked by the Parish Council and the club to help improve the club's tired and outdated facilities, which were letting them down, and to provide the community with a space for residents to use. The existing clubhouse has been well used, but is sadly no longer fit for purpose. It's unheated and the WC provision doesn't meet modern day standards. The changing rooms and kitchen facilities are also inadequate and not accessible to all people. Options to upgrade or potentially extend the building were explored, but were found to be uneconomic. This is coupled by the fact that the building is in a far from ideal location, right on the boundary and very near the houses of Austin Way. It's also on the wrong side of the car park, which means that after children get changed, they have to walk through the cars to get to the pitch side, which represents a risk of people being knocked over. In addition, there are no hireable facilities on the north side of the parish. So following public consultation, it was highlighted that residents would like community space in this area, providing a room with kitchen facilities for use for community groups and societies. So, working closely with the club, the Parish Council and local stakeholders, we developed a design step by step through a series of meetings and consultation events. We used 3D modelling and virtual reality to extensively show and test the idea to ensure that the new facility met the complex and exacting brief to create a new clubhouse and community building, which would better support the club and ever-changing needs of the local community. The new facility will provide new changing facilities for players and referees, plus a medical room, all meeting the latest FA guidance. These FA guidelines dictate how many changing rooms and the number of toilets that are required. They will also be fully accessible for all. Additional dedicated WCs will be open facing directly to the pitch to allow safeguarding, so parents and guardians can keep an eye on their children when they pop back to the loo. A new community hub will also support local events and classes. This new venue will provide a separate bar and kitchen areas for the club's use, and there will be a hatch to serve snacks to spectators on match days. A storage wall will help manage and make the day-to-day operations of the community room much easier to use. The floor will also be underfloor heated to make it more child-friendly for baby yoga and various other classes that could take place. It will also be an energy-efficient building, which will be very easy to maintain, with a ribbon of windows to the west elevation, which is set back slightly to help mitigate the risk of solar gain, whilst offering views through to the pitches beyond. Improved car parking facilities will also alleviate parking issues on nearby roads. The design of the building has been conceived as a durable and secure building by night, which opens up by day via 2 large gates to reveal a welcoming covered entrance porch and cafe serving hatch. The rear side of these gates will be clad in light woods to graphically indicate that the building is open for the community. A new car park is proposed with controlled access for emergency vehicles and a clear, safe delineation from pedestrians and vehicles. New landscaping offers cycle and DDA parking together with integrated options for EV charging later if required. Understandably, there have been some concerns raised whether this community facility may affect them. Here are a few facts which hopefully will help to allay some of these concerns. Firstly, the day-to-day activities of the football club will remain the same. Only the clubhouse will be further away from neighbouring homes. Matchday traffic should be better organised and much safer due to the new car park with spaces properly marked out and clear pedestrian-only zones. Careful thought has been given how to emergency vehicles can access the site. Currently, there are no restrictions to the hours of operation, whereas the new clubhouse will operate within agreed hours. As previously, the clubhouse will always be managed by a management committee member from the club and not by the general public, so there will always be someone accountable on site. The car park gate, which leads to Austin Way, as it is currently, will be locked at dusk and will continue to do so. Therefore, no one will be able to leave that way if it is late. As currently, everyone will exit and enter via Buxton Road. The new building facility will be located on the far side of the field and will be constructed of modern levels of insulation to make it cheap to run. This has the added benefit of offering very high levels of acoustic protection if there are events going on inside the building. The council will also add a fence line to remove the risk of disturbance spilling out onto the pitches, which could potentially disturb
Mr. Farron,
local neighbours.
you've done your 5 minutes, I'm afraid.
That's everything. Thank you very
Okay.
much. I'm pleased to
Thank
answer
you.
any questions.
Any questions? Comments? Joe?
Thank you, Chair. I'm just looking at the impact on residential amenity, and 5.15 says proliferation is only between 8 AM and 10 PM on any day. Was that set out in the previous plan permission, and will that continue, please?
So the previous planning permission doesn't set out any hours of operation or anything else. This would be kind of a new restriction effectively. This would be a new restriction. Apologies, I forgot the first part of the question.
I really want to know whether there will be a restriction on using the community space, and there won't be anything going on.
Yeah, so the condition that we've recommended that's come from environmental health isn't just for the community buildings, for the whole site effectively, but for that to be between 8 AM and 10 PM. So that's the condition we're seeking.
And just to confirm, that's condition 6. I know we don't give you the full details of the conditions, but that would be covered by condition 6 that you've got in front of you.
I think, Chairman, I may.
Yes, again.
You did say, I think, that the management would be run by, did you say a management committee?
It would be by the football club themselves.
And that's the football club.
Yes. Yeah.
So they're obviously going to make sure that it's properly managed for the benefit of the football club long term.
That's correct, and they're fully accountable as well. So if there was a disturbance, whatever, then someone would be accountable and would be able to raise a concern with the football club.
The additional football car parking arrangements, and also you did confirm that the gateway out to Austin Way will be closed. Did you say at dusk?
Correct. It currently is locked at dusk anyway, and those arrangements will remain the same. So if there is an event that is going on, they will all leave via Buxton Road, which is the main road. They won't go via Austin Way because the gate will be locked.
Okay. That makes sense. And the person who, did I read somewhere, perhaps I haven't got it, who's actually going to be managing the building and the bar is a licensed person, and he will be a member of that management committee or the football club?
Yes, he's currently a member of the football club and would be part of the management committee.
That's what I understood. And the lease that you have with the council is still several years to go.
I don't know how long the lease remains, unfortunately.
Okay. Can I just ask, I note in the 4.1 it says the parish council hopes to have exercise classes and yoga classes and stuff like that, will that be managed by the same person who's managing the football club?
Yes, it would be managed by the council, yes.
Council.
It would be the committee who are running the club, which would be football club members and then members of the council also. Sure, thank you.
We'll just wait for Karen to come back. Karen, you know the drill, don't you? You have 5 minutes when you speak. I know.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the Planning Committee. You will of course be aware I called in this plan and application for your consideration. This is not a decision I'd have taken lightly, because improving community facilities is something I care deeply about, and I'm not seeking to put unnecessary obstacles in the way of that, and certainly not in this instance either. However, given the number of concerns that have been raised to me by residents, I felt it beneficial for the application to come before this committee. That is to ensure a full and transparent debate where all views, whether they're for or against, can be heard and properly considered. Equally, given that there's a family connection with the name applicant, and more specifically who is the clerk to the parish council, it is absolutely right and proper that this discussion be held in public to ensure that it's fully open and transparent. So in terms of my call-in and the residents' concerns that were raised with me, they were primarily impact on residential amenity from the proposed inclusion of a licensed bar and ensuring that associated noise, light pollution and highways issues are fully considered. Now I know you would have already heard from speakers while I was out of the room, which I'm sure have explained in more detail their concerns. But if I can, at this point, draw the committee's attention to two further considerations of concern. In my view, there are two before us. One is that impact on residential amenity that I just referenced, and the second is safeguarding. Safeguarding in terms of a licensed bar within a junior football clubhouse, and that's a concern that residents have raised with me. But also safeguarding in light of the comments made by Sport England, who's a statutory consultee. If I may draw the committee's attention to the Sport England response, you will see in your report at paragraph 4.5 that the Sport England originally objected to the proposals. However, following reconsultation and amendments to the plan, has now removed their objection on the application. What the report doesn't go on to say is that while those amendments, the statutory objection raised by Sport England has been resolved, another objection still remains and sits within their response. And that is a safeguarding concern. So, if I may refer to Sport England's consultation response, which is dated the 26th of June, which if you haven't seen it is on the Council's planning portal. There are two key statements that they've made in that response, which I can't seem to find in the report before us. So, if I may read direct from their response, the first statement is, Sport England is supportive in principle of the proposal, and whilst a 16-metre square change in space has been achieved, there's still a direct line of sight into the changing rooms when the door is open. And as this would pose a safeguarding concern, Sport England raised a non-statutory objection. It further comments, the applicant has recommended that the internal layout be approved via a non-material amendment application. Sport England concern is that the design that it may then put forward may not ensure the safety of changing room use. And if this is not addressed before planning permission is granted, the applicant could build out the proposal in line with the current drawings, which would pose a safeguarding concern. In the view of Sport England, they do not consider that a non-material amendment application is the appropriate method to address this issue in this case. Further comment is made by the Football Foundation, which has recommended that the applicant further discusses with them and the Norfolk Football Association. Those discussions should be around design and deliverability of the building and its facilities, with a view to amending the layout in order to address those safeguarding concerns. From my point of view, there is a real opportunity here to greatly improve the facilities at this ground, which is home to Old Catton Junior Football Club, and to deliver those needed, new and well-needed facilities. The danger here, as I see it, and from the concerns I've read and received, those new and needed facilities could be compromised, and they could be compromised by the large community space. Sports England has stated consideration may need to be given to reduce the amount of community floor space in order to meet the changing room size specific requirements, and also to ensure that there is no safeguarding concern going forward. So I therefore request, committee, if you are minded to approve this application, that a further condition be added which requires that the internal layout be amended in discussion with and with the agreement of Sport England and the Football Foundation.
Thank you, Karen. Can I, before we go into discussion, can I just ask the architect, the entrance to the changing room here, the windows, I say they're high-level frosted windows. Has that been changed since the safeguarding issue has been raised?
Yeah, the safeguarding issue was in relation to the door swing into the changing rooms themselves, and also the window, which has always been high level, but there wasn't a clarification that it was at high level. So now it's a high level window that is frosted, and the door also opens in the opposite direction, so it's impossible to see into the changing room. The clarification on the further development of the layout was actually in relation to a different issue, not to do with safeguarding. It was to do with the first aid room and the second referee changing room, which we've left as a through room currently until we can get further clarification between the club and the Football Association as to whether it's acceptable for the physio room to be used in the event of a child being injured and the second referee having to wait to get changed until they're finished.
Thank you. Thank you. Eleanor, you wish to ask a question?
I just wondered if I could ask a question of the planning officers. With the design of the building that we have in front of us, the plan that we have, with I assume there is, I presume it's revision 7, is it? It says Rev 7 and there's a red line, up in the top left-hand corner. That's a revision, presumably, to the plans, is it? Is that what it means? Sorry, but if it is, are we happy with the plans as they stand? Do they meet safeguarding requirements? I mean, do they meet the requirements of Sport England? Because I need to be sure about that before approving this.
So I'll come in. I'll just take the point that the architect who's representing the applicant has made, but I'll also go back to Sport England's comments as well. That we do have no objections from Sport England if they felt that this was so they raise a non-statutory objection, but the revision has been made, as the architect has said, to alter that, so that, and I think, well, we have got it there, but I haven't got my cursor to do it, but if we look at the what we have up there in the red bubble, then we have the high level frosted windows, which if you can scroll down, please, Andrew, just to show what it looks like from a elevational perspective, that would be really helpful. I think it's on the same one. So if you could point to where they are. If the cursor is working. So you can see those. Can you see those sort of rectangles there? So they're high level, they're frosted. They won't be opening. They won't be able to be. No one will be able to see into those. Then go back onto the door swing. So I think that's really important to point to. Sorry, I'm asking you to do a lot of zooming in and out. The way that the door swings now outwards, it would be. You would literally have to have those doors propped open, and then be stood in that middle bit where you've got very limited space to be able to do so, to be able to be in those changing rooms. I'm going to go a little bit further and say that every club has a safeguarding officer, and each team then has safeguarding within each of the teams. The old captain, I would be amazed if they were looking to put forward something that didn't meet safeguarding requirements. And again, I'm going to go back to sporting comment. If they were so fundamentally against it, they wouldn't be raising a non-statutory objection. So I'm comfortable that what we've got would meet safeguarding requirements, unless there's anything else the other officers want to add. Happy with that? Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, Karen.
Okay. Does the committee have any more comments for Karen? Joe? Ken, sorry.
I assume that the officers have been fully aware of the other comments made by Sport England, which were raised by Councillor Vincent.
Ken, I think we're getting into general discussion now at the moment. Have you got any questions for Karen?
Well, yes, I'm sure that the council have been consulted and seen the papers that you've read out. Is that right? So you've been well aware of all the points that Councillor Vincent has raised. That's true, isn't it? So therefore, you've considered the issues that have been made.
Yeah, we've obviously had Sport England's comments on the file, and they've been considered in determining of the application. So yes.
Thank you. That's why I assumed you would, and it would be available to the management of the building. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Joe, is your comment for Karen?
It is, yes.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just want to go back to Councillor Vincent, because she said there possibly should be a further condition put on this that would be decided by the Assistant Director of Planning. Could you just repeat that, please, Councillor Vincent?
Yes, thank you, Councillor Copstone, for the opportunity. I'm just finding it in my paper. What I said, I therefore request, if you are minded to approve this application, that a further condition be added which requires the internal layout to be amended to the agreement of Sports England, and that's to overcome the safeguarding concerns. So that's already been resolved. That's
already been resolved, so it doesn't need to go on the conditions, does it? Yeah.
May I clarify something, please? In terms of the consultation response from Sports England, they close by saying if the application is, I guess why I'm asking for clarification, if this conversation has been had, why isn't there a further response from Sports England on the planning portal to say no further concerns? There isn't. The latest one is the one that I've read out, and they close their response by saying if this application is to be presented to a planning committee, we would like to be notified in advance of the publication of any committee agenda, report, committee dates. Please notify Sports England of the outcome of the planning application.
Okay, so have they been notified? Do you know? Can we clarify that?
I'd have to check that they're different. Certainly we notify all the residents of Parish Council. I'm not entirely sure about the statutory consultees, about the committee date. I couldn't definitely confirm that. I'd have to check.
I'm going to come in there. If we can't, as the officers, confirm whether the Sport England have been consulted on this, then I don't think that members should continue with considering the scheme. And it's completely up to you, Chair. But yeah, as in, I think we should look to defer to.
I'm happy to defer this application until we get a response from Sport England. You in agreement with that? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Karen. Sorry, did you all agree for that? Can we have a show of hands if you agree with that being deferred? Okay. Ken, against? So that's 5, 4, 1 against. Thank you, gentlemen. You may leave if you wish to. Right, we'll go to application 6 and 7. 2023 3093 and 2023 3135 Stour Grange Hotel in Drayton. Would you like to start the presentation?
Lovely, thank you, Chair. Good morning, members. My name is Lindsay Wright. I'm the presenting officer for the proposal before you today, which seeks planning permission and listed building consent for the conversion of Stour Grange Hotel to 3 residential dwellings. The reason for the application is considered at Planning Committee today is the proposal would result in loss of employment on the site. Here is the site location plan. This shows the existing arrangement of the site. The hotel is centrally located within the plot, with informal parking to the front and garden space to the rear. Moving to the wider context of the with an aerial image, this is the site just here, located in pink. The access road is from School Road to the south, the southern boundary of the site. The site is located within the settlement boundary of Drayton and is close to existing residential development which surrounds the site. Moving to the proposed site plan, this shows how the site will be divided into the 3 units. The proposals involve no physical extensions to the existing building. The conversion is contained within the existing built form of the hotel, with minimal physical alterations to the external appearance of the building. There's to be no physical subdivision of the plots to the front garden, though the rear gardens are to be divided appropriately with boundary treatment to be secured by condition. Moving to some site images, this is the front and rear elevations. Front elevation is subdivided into 3 sections, the central section being the oldest, originating from the 17th century. The right hand side, just here, is slightly newer, although significantly altered, and to the left hand side, and this is a later Victorian addition, illustrating the 19th century gentrification of the building. To the rear, the white rendered section forms part of the Victorian element, with the older section just here in the background. and the more recent additions, this flat roof addition here and the hip roof section here. The hotel is a grade 2 listed building. Moving to the drawings, these images show the existing and proposed front elevation. The only alteration to this front elevation is the addition of a doorway just in here. Just moving to some site photos to show you this is the principal elevation still. The first photo shows that the addition of the doorway is going to result in no loss of balance to reinstating the doorway. And then just in here you can see where there's there's been previous alterations historically where there's been a doorway here previously. This slide shows the existing and proposed rear elevation. This elevation is generally to be improved with the removal of the fire escape, the removal of the lean-to structure, the removal of flues to the roof here, and the addition of doors and windows with both modern sections. These are just a couple of photos to show the changes. This fire escape is to be removed, this lean-to section is to be removed, flues are to be removed with a roof lantern to be entered into here, and various fenestration details changes. Moving to the existing and proposed side elevation, again this shows the fire escape to be removed and some fenestration changes. Additional windows to be added into here, and this fire escape to be removed. So this proposed elevation, the only changes that are to be made are the removal of the aircon unit. Moving to the floor plans, we have the existing and proposed. Two new staircases are to be introduced, one into this top left corner here and one to the rear corner here. In general, the principal rooms are to remain as existing. And with the alterations to the modern sections, including function room and kitchen. This photo highlights the front bar. This is where a new hallway is to be reinstated. A hallway is to be introduced with the new doorway. The bar here is to be maintained as an ensuite space. Next, we're moving to photos of the Victorian hallway, which is to be retained, and its historic features are also to be retained. Next, we're seeing photographs of the existing sitting room and dining room to the rear, just to highlight that these spaces to remain unchanged by the proposal. Again, just a couple of photos to show that a window is to be added into this modern section, and this excuse me, and this is the modern function suite. These are the existing and proposed first floor plans. This just demonstrates the labyrinth of rooms at present, which include at present 9 bedrooms on this floor. The proposed plans show some rationalisation and reposition of stud walls. The number of existing ensuite bathrooms indicate the amount of servicing that's already present in the building. And the use of the use as 3 dwellings will reduce the impact and be able to effectively use the service runs already located within the building. The proposal will result in 3 dwellings, 2, 3 and 4 bedroom dwellings respectively. This is the staircase that's to be removed. It's a modern staircase with modern fabric to service the second floor. This is the existing and proposed second floor, which is where there's an additional bedroom. Just moving to some external photos, the front of the property, to show that no changes to the layout. originally there were some garages proposed to this front space, but that's been removed from the proposal, and the mature trees around the boundary of the site are to be retained and not affected by the impact of the proposal. And then just to conclude, for the reasons set out in the committee report, which include details of a 2-year marketing exercise completed in line with the requirements of local plan policy E2, due to the resultant loss of employment, and the conservation assessment, which considers that the building's return to domestic accommodation is potentially more sympathetic than its current use as the hotel. The officer's recommendation is for approval subject to conditions. That's the end of the presentation, and I'd welcome any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the officer? Joe?
I've just been looking at Historic England consultations, and they said that the views of the authority specialist conservation and archaeological advisors are sought, but when it comes to the senior heritage and design officer, no comments have been received. Can I have an update?
I think it's just worth a point of clarity that should have been deleted, because actually the case officer wasn't Lindsay. The case officer is actually on leave at the moment, who is actually one of our heritage officers. So he's made that assessment himself, because he is a heritage officer.
Yes, he's happy.
Yeah, he's happy. So it is Stephen King's application. So he's made that assessment himself.
Any more comments? No? Okay, I'd like to call forward Mr. Richard Fannin, please, if you'd like to come to the front, please, sir. You have 5 minutes from where you start speaking. If you'd just like to press the right-hand button to start.
Thank you very much for allowing me to speak this morning. I have been the proprietor of Stag Range for 24 years, and we operated a very successful business for a long time. With the advent of COVID, it damaged the business and removed virtually all meeting businesses, which was a part of our revenue. Over the years, we had a successful wedding business. When we first arrived in Norwich in the year 2000, I applied for a wedding licence, and we were then one of 50 venues in Norfolk. So it was quite an important part of our business, and we held many weddings there. During the intervening 20-odd years, there are now something like 250 venues in Norfolk that are licensed for wedding, and diluted the market. So it gradually reduced. There was then the increase of hotel provision around the airport area of Drayton and Helston, which rather continued to dilute our business. It was the decision after COVID, which decimated the trading of the business, to decide to sell. And this started in February 2021, to go with Christie's, who are the best in the country for selling hotel and restaurant venues. We had potential buyers who eventually dropped out, and we had on 3 occasions, and we got to the position of trading at a loss for 2 years, significant losses. We sold the property behind, and we were in a position where we couldn't continue the employment of people. So that forced us into the position of having to close the business and pursue, well, we were pursuing the application for a long period of time. We could see this happening. And eventually we resulted in closing the business in the hope that it would return to domestic dwelling. And this is the outcome, and this is where we are today. We consulted the architect, who did a very sympathetic plan, and we then consulted with various conservation authorities, including appointing an officer ourselves. And we resulted in a very sympathetic conversion of the building, I believe. ask for your consideration of this, because I think this is the only future to preserve this wonderful Grade 2 listed building. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Would anybody like to ask any questions from the speaker? No? I know it's always sad to see a nice business close, but I know similar properties which have been very well adapted to residential. So, would you like to return to your seat, please, sir?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody get any comments they'd like to raise? Helena.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. It's quite an interesting building to look at. From a planning point of view, it's in the settlement boundary for Drayton. There seem to be no objections from the parish council or the district councillors. There's no objection from highways. I can't see that any of the consultees are raising any major objections, and their comments have been taken into account in the plans. Sadly, I recognise obviously that there has been a loss of employment, but it sounds as though the business has already closed and there isn't any way of resurrecting it. It actually seems a very good scheme to change this historic building into residential properties, and so I'm happy to propose that we approve this application. Oh, sorry, yes, both applications.
Okay. Go straight to the vote, shall we, or do you want to say anything, Jo?
I just wanted to say, I know the building. This scheme, it's really important that that building is occupied and maintained.
Yeah, yeah. I think we've seen a similar scheme in Drayton with Drayton Old Lodge, and that was quite successful. So I'm quite happy to propose this. Oh, yeah, you proposed. You second. All those in favour, please. Thank you. I'm going to hand over to Ben for planning appeals.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. One that we've had submitted, which is in Great Witchingham, actually in Lenwade. It's land at the Vital on Nowhere Lane, and that is for the erection of a building for holiday use, creation of earth bund and new means of access. And it's a retrospective scheme, so we'll see how that progresses through, because obviously when they're retrospective, that adds a different dimension. And then we received 2 appeal decisions in the last period of time, both of which were delegated, both of which the appeals were dismissed. One was at South Walsham Field Farm, Field Road, and that was for the demolition of 4 existing pig sheds and the erection of 4 new dwellings and associated other external works. Won't go into detail of it, but that was basically on the tilted balance, and the inspector found, in our view, that the benefits didn't outweigh the harms that were caused. And then the other one was in Spixworth for the subdivision of 321 Buxton Road. That was for the proposed erection of a dwelling and a garage, and that was primarily dismissed on the basis of nutrient neutrality and GIRAMs not being secured. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, everybody, for attending. Close the meeting at 11:50.